So I will keep my talk short, around 20-25 minutes. I think that's what I got the instructions. I think that's a good enough time. People shouldn't get bored of hearing me after that.
Right. I think like 35 to 40 minutes would be good. We can keep looking at the questions in between, and before we start the interactive Q&A, what we can do is, we can, since you obviously are so experienced, I'm sure within your talk itself you can weave in some of the answers to those questions.
Sure.
And towards the last, say, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we can completely keep it open to the audience.
Sure, absolutely. And feel free, if I'm not able to read the questions while I'm talking, if you think that's relevant, please interrupt me and shoot the question. So
No,
I'm
not a
happy
problem.
to keep it as an interactive session rather than a monologue.
Absolutely.
Totally fine with that.
I think it's time, so I'll just start the broadcast then, right?
Sure.
I'll just start the broadcast and just welcome everyone.
Okay.
Hi everyone. I can see that people are slowly joining in. This is Kritika from Amity Online. Welcome to our knowledge series. Today's webinar is on a very, very interesting topic, and that is how to make a lucrative career as a brand manager. And to share valuable insights on this topic, we have, and to also give his very exclusive insider tips, we are very lucky to have with us Dr. Sumeet Kad. He is the marketing head for IBM Watson Health. To tell you a little more about him, he's a seasoned marketing and business development professional. He has over 12 years of experience in driving strategy and actually executing go-to marketing campaigns. So in the next 1 hour, you can expect to find answers to questions like, what are the 5 skills one should possess as a brand manager, how to actually create an excellent brand strategy, how to establish a distinct profile in brand management, how to reinvent, reposition a brand, and much more. You can always write in your queries because we will be taking all of them in the last segment. So please keep your questions coming. So this is what the format is going to be like. That initially, Dr. Sumeet is going to take us through, the learning that he wants to share with all of you brand management aspirants. And in the meanwhile, you can keep your questions coming. And like I said, we will be taking them towards the end in the live Q&A segment. So yeah, sit tight and enjoy. I will now let Dr. Sumeet take over so he can begin sharing his insights.
Sure. Thank you, Kritika. And I thank Amity University for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk to all of you. I also thank to all the attendees who are taking out time to hear me at an evening time. I understand 6 p.m. is a time that all of you want to just relax. I hope I do not bore you and we can exchange a lot of interesting thoughts and comments during this session. It's not that I am kind of preaching or teaching you guys. I'm here to learn from your questions and experiences or your thoughts as well. So it's going to be a dialogue. It's going to be an interesting session. I hope that we both of us learn a lot from each other. So as Kritika mentioned, I am a part of the healthcare marketing team in IBM. I started my career as a medical doctor. I have a degree in medicine, and then I did my MBA. And post that, I have been working with the corporate sector for over a decade now. I started with market research and consulting, where I also consulting for establishing brands for public sector organizations in India and Southeast Asia. And then I moved to IBM, where I'm responsible for handling the entire marketing function, including branding for IBM Watson Health, which is the healthcare arm of IBM. And we deal with a lot of our stakeholders are from the healthcare background. For example, hospitals, pharmaceutical industries, consumer good industry, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, my take on branding has changed over the last decade. Okay, so when I passed out of the B school, there were set rules that were taught to me in terms of marketing and branding. But over the years, in the last, I would say 8 or 9 years, I see that it's no longer just a matter of implementing clever, creative, timely marketing or ad placements. A lot of things about the subject of branding have changed over the last decade. Now, if you see on slide 1, I took out this chart from one of the playbook that I downloaded from HubSpot. Okay, and this is basically a kind of a marketing funnel, and the arrow that I have pointed out towards the stranger or the attract part was something that was happening 8 or 9 years ago. So as a branding, when you work for a brand in the branding component or a department of an organization, we always feel that our job as a brand manager is to attract new customers, okay, or maybe to retain the existing customers to some extent. Okay, so we implement our strategies around that. We will discuss about those strategies later. But I feel no longer that's true. Okay, a marketing funnel is basically a journey where the customer goes through or your client goes through throughout the marketing journey. Okay, and it comprises of stages like convert, closure of the deal, and advocacy and promotion of the of your brand or your product or your solution. I feel the brand manager plays an integral role in each and every component. Okay, so hence the role of a brand manager is kind of mixes with a lot of departments within the marketing organization, be it purely marketing, be it enablement, be it content, be it social media or digital. So hence there's an overlap that a brand manager has to take care of while moving into this role. Okay, so it's, as I said, a lot of nuances have changed in the sorry, in the branding function. Okay, and I also feel that the brand managers now, they have to keep in mind that it is no longer just a qualitative measurement of your brand. Okay, it's very important to understand how to make branding or convert branding into a quantifiable metric for which you can show concrete results to your seniors, to your organizations, and even to the outside world. Okay, and in the later part of my talk, I have kept a few minutes on how to measure and what exactly you should measure for your brand effectiveness. Okay, before we jump into how to create a brand strategy, okay, I feel that I also wanted to share my thoughts on few skills, or I would say a few tenets of an effective brand manager, which I think I have learned over the past few years. I have not excelled in each of those, but based on my experience working with brand managers, working with the marketing teams and marketing leaders, I feel these 5 are very important for a brand manager to possess. Now, these skills, it's not necessary that you learn directly out of B school. That's never going to happen. I don't feel that any graduate directly from a B school will have these. Some you have, some you learn during B school, and of course, most of the things you also learn during your job. Okay, so if you feel you possess any of these, or you feel that you can excel in these, then I think being a brand manager is a very lucrative option for you. First, strategic creativity. Now, do not compare it with just being creative. Okay, that's why I use the word strategic in front of it. It's basically means that how you are going to work with strategic business targets to innovate the best brands that you will be a part of in future, or you are a part of currently in your organization. Okay. Now, there's a common dilemma that too much structure is given around creative teams that hampers the innovative output. Okay. Hence, with your creativity and innovation, the effective brand managers can implement overarching strategies that encourage creativity rather than restrict it. Okay. So when if you are given a task, your team is given a task for creating a new brand asset. Okay, it could be a video, it could be a small piece of content that is being used on Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. I think you should clearly outline your expectations beforehand. Okay, and discuss that with the team. Okay, and all the tangible examples should be mentioned and refer back to them often. So hence, your creativity skills should be honed during the role a lot. Okay, so that's one aspect I feel should be there. Second is the quantitative part. Okay, and as I mentioned just before I jumped into these 5 skills, is that you need to quantify your brand metrics. What kind of branding outcomes are there, and you should understand them qualitatively, but also use numbers to express them, so that it helps to keep the brand manager and the role of brand manager afloat. No longer in organizations, branding will be termed or linked only to quantifiable. That if you get some or to qualitative aspect. For example, if you are getting a verbatim from your customers over social media that so and so brand is pretty good, that's a very important part. But you also need to, quantitatively reason it, why your brand is effective, what are you doing. A lot of social media, social listening is done in that aspect. So we'll talk about that. So you have to have that kind of mindset for sure. Second is around your strong communication skills. By communication, I don't mean communication outside your company. I mean inside your company foremost, because for a brand, the brand custodians are not only your customers, but you as an individual, the employees, and everybody, even the sellers who sell your products or solutions to the outside world, they are also carrying your brand message. So it's very important that you have the right kind of brand consistency, and it starts internally. So it's very important for a brand manager to understand that consistency and the messaging and the narrative, and make it clear to your team. By team, I don't mean only the marketing team, but all the other teams that you are collaborating with. So very important to have both internal and external communication in your forte. Okay. The fourth one I feel is in terms of how closely you understand your target customer or target market. Of course, you will do a lot of research, could be primary or secondary or user group meetings and so on, user group research, so on and so forth. But you have to understand the right kind of customers, what customers are consuming. So if, for example, if you are an FMCG background or FMCG industry, you need to understand what kind of content is being consumed by your consumers in different socioeconomic status, okay, regions as well. So I feel that in tier 1 cities, a lot of consumers consume video content. Okay, so you have to plan your branding according to that. But in rural areas, they are not able to go for video content. They normally use non-smartphones or very typical phone in their region. So how do you cater to that set of audience as well? So you need to understand the target segments very quickly, and focus on that in having your brand strategy on table. Last but certainly not the least is flexibility. Okay, you have to be versatile. It's one of the most fundamental attributes of a brand manager that I have experienced, and I feel that's very important. Okay, why I say that, and COVID is a true example of that. I will discuss few examples that how brand managers or marketing teams have changed their narratives, have changed their brand messaging, catering to the current situation. So you have to be flexible. You have to sometimes unlearn and learn new things as it's happening. So you have to be on your toes. That's why I feel a career in brand management is so exciting, so lucrative, that you keep on learning new things. You are always fresh with ideas, something that many marketing, or I would say domains in marketing, would not be catered to. Okay, and hence I feel that's why flexibility is an important aspect. So these were the five, I would say, major skill sets that I feel a brand manager should possess. Okay. Now moving to how to create a brand strategy. And now if you search online or you attend online classes or even in B schools, there's a hell lot of a big process in terms of that's taught to each and every graduate in terms of how to measure a brand, what kind of strategy should be adopted, what are the channels on which the brand should talk about, what kind of things should we talk about, so on and so forth. So there's no set marketing playbook, but in the next 5 minutes or so, I will try to capture the most important aspects, okay, that can help you to build a brand strategy for your individual brands. Okay, and let me begin by saying that there is no overnight success to build an interesting brand or an exciting brand for the consumers. Okay, it sounds tempting that, okay, you will send a tweet, you will hire a credible celebrity, but I don't think so that will lead to a long-term success. That will only be a short-term success until unless you have specific strategies within place. Okay, so I feel that a successful brand should be built up over time. Okay, a slow gradual build-up process provides the opportunity to reach for far more people than some flash in the pan kind of a thing. So I don't think there is any existing brand that that has worked or come into the mind quickly, like they have worked only for 5 or 6 months and then the brand has migrated. No, all the known brands and the big brands that you talk about or that are top in your mind, they have their process, they have gone through the grill, and it takes a lot of time to develop a good brand. And that's the exciting part of the journey where brand manager plays a very crucial and interesting role. Okay, now coming to the brand strategy. Okay, and a brand strategy for me is a long-term plan for developing a successful brand presence in order to achieve specific goals. Okay, so there's a common misconception when I talk to my colleagues or sometimes when I read stuff or students specifically that I feel that the brand is not your product. It's not your logo, not your website, not even your brand name. Okay. In fact, the brand is far more encompassing. It defines the visceral and the frequent intangible aspects of your company identity. You need to identify the right kind of value proposition for which your brand will be known for. Okay, so that's an important aspect that you have to keep in your mind. It comes with the company's vision and mission. Okay, and how do you bring that to the forefront for your consumers? Either it's an online enterprise or a brick and mortar enterprise. So that's important to understand the positioning as well as the value proposition that your brand possesses. Okay. First and foremost, the brand consistency is of paramount importance. Okay, some of the basic elements of a brand. By brand consistency, definitely I mean that the important elements of a brand, they should be almost consistent on the various platforms where your brand is being portrayed. Okay, for example, your website, your blog, the emails that you send, the social media or some other platform. So you have to be consistent on all aspects. So one example that I feel to understand this brand consistency is the email that you send out. Okay, when your leaders, when your sellers, they send emailers to different customers, it's important to understand that even in the email, the branding should be visible. Maybe it's in the form of the bottom signature. Okay, but that also plays an integral role in your brand. Okay, so you have to go deep into that nuance also while planning your entire brand strategy. So I will not go deep dive. I will not do deep dive into logos and the color palettes because that varies from brand to brand, but these play a very important role. So for example, one brand that comes to my mind, I was reading a recent book by Phil Knight. He started the Nike company, and the name of the book is Shoe Dog. I think you should definitely read it, though it doesn't talk about, it's not a typical brand Bible, but it talks about how he built the brand. Okay, so one quote that comes into my mind, that while he was creating the logo, he contacted some student, and they just sat for 2 or 3 days to create a logo. That's fine, but how they took the logo to the next step, how it registered in the minds of each and every consumer, is something that you can learn from that book. So Nike is a brand that always comes into my mind. Okay, and just do it is one of their taglines. Okay, now they have changed. So when I talked about flexibility a few minutes back, if you see that recent ads, they say, don't go out of the house. That's the only thing that you shouldn't do it. Something like that. Okay, so they have changed the tagline to do it to just don't do it. Okay, but only for a short period of time. So they are on their toes. Okay, and that what particularly attracts me to a brand. Okay. Another example was that I wanted to share specifically with you is that branding links. Now we are all in an online stage, okay, and certainly this era, or you would say the current crisis, has accelerated the digital economies or digital ecosystem. Okay, we are doing a lot of programs, marketing, branding online, and that's how it's going to be in the next decade or so, as far as I see. Okay, and there's a stat that says that when you share the shortened links either to a content, to a video, to your consumer or to a prospective client, if you brand it or customize it for your company, for your organization, okay, there is 40% increase chances of high chances of increase in click-through rates, okay, when you customize it. Okay, so another aspect that I want to talk to you about, that how branding is important in each and every component of every marketing activity that you do. Okay, so yeah, so that was one, and then there are components of the great of definitely branding that you do. The website design, website and content are the two major areas that every marketer or every brand person should keep in mind. Your website should be, should be easily accessible. Okay. And there are tools to help you that. There are free tools such as Hotjar, which helps you to design your website in terms of the clicks that you are getting, through which website or social media channels you are getting those clicks. So everything can be done using analytics, which I will talk about moving forward, that how you can use analytics effectively to manage your brand. Okay. The second component that I feel important for creating a brand strategy is your value proposition. Okay, so tagline is separate, but I feel that your value proposition is the core of your competitive advantage, and it is the most important thing that people will take with them when considering your brand. Therefore, it's very essential to get your value proposition right. I think for me, for a brand, a value proposition is a promise of value to be delivered. Okay, it should project the main reason that a prospect should buy from you, get engaged with you, and not from your competitor. Okay, hence it's the responsibility of a brand manager to clearly identify and articulate the value proposition in any activity that you do. Maybe it could be form of one of your ads or your content that you have put across your website, but it should clearly come across. If you are dealing with, for example, in automobiles, okay, you need to differentiate that what exactly your automobile company should talk about. One example that comes to my mind is Volvo. So Volvo is known for their robust and solid structure of their cars or trucks. Okay, and they are known for providing safety. Okay, they do, and when you see their ads or their communications, they will never talk about the bells and whistles in their dashboard, the seats. They do not talk about luxury. They always talk about safety and how safe a passenger can be in that, and that's their selling point. I love Volvo as a brand when they talk about their brand value proposition. So an example that came to my mind, I wanted to share with you. And that's what makes you different. And there are other brands. So keeping yourself in automobile industry itself, when you see an Audi or a Maserati ad, they will talk about luxury. Okay, and that's what they are known for. So that's how they build their brand over the years, and that's how brand managers should think when they're determining their value proposition. Okay, last I would say it's very important to create your buyer personas. Okay, so a buyer persona is like a character profile of the customer, like who they are, what they want, and what their life is like. So a brand manager works with the marketing team and sometimes a sales team also to understand what kind of target segments they are attacking with their brand. Okay, hence it's very important to have the right kind of buyer personas in your mind. Okay, and then it will delve into your value proposition and ultimately into your brand activities or brand strategies. So creating a buyer persona is very important. It could be based on demographics, job level, socioeconomic status, so on and so forth. Okay, so all these categories are kept into the mind while creating a brand strategy. Okay, and of course, there are different channels that you want to use while pushing your brand across. Social media is something that is first and foremost. Even if you are not uh, totally online, but if you are totally a brick and mortar brand, okay, there are small brands I can talk about. Is that came to my mind as an Indian brand is Manyavar. They are into, I think, clothing for both male and females, traditional Indian clothing. I like that brand because they started purely with brick and mortar. Now they have moved to online, and how they use celebrities or their Indian tradition in their ads and in their ad placements or content is something commendable. So that's how and now they are using it almost in all channels. It's an omni-channel presence that they have. Okay? And hence different channels have different strategies which you need to adopt. Okay, if you move to the next slide, Kritika, where now I want to talk to you about how do you monitor your brand. Okay, right at the upfront, I talked to you
Sure.
about, sorry.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Right up the upfront, I talked to you about how a quantitative mindset is very important for a brand manager to excel. Okay. And that's why monitoring your brand using different metrics, different tools is so very important. Okay. So you will see a typical measurement that brand managers used to do earlier a few years back is they used to get verbatims. They used to track the conversations that they're going to talk that's being talked about on social media or typical customer feedback forms and so on and so forth. And they use some sentiment analysis that that a particular brand is creating positive impact in the minds of the people. Okay. Now it has moved to the next step. Of course, this is very important. You get customer feedback, you do sentiment analysis, but now it's important to have the right kind of metrics in place. Okay, there are tools with Google. There are tools with all the channels that use, even Twitter. Okay, you can. There are third-party organizations that gives you to use these tools. So, for example, HubSpot is one. Okay, Sprinkler is another one. So these are the tools that normally a company deploys. Okay, of course there are paid version and the free versions. It's up to you how do you want to use it. Okay, and these tools gives you a lot of analytics that can help you to monitor your brand. Okay, so typical examples could be it helps you to understand where the customer came to your website originally. If they have used your chatbot on your website, from where did they came from? Whether it was a blog, it was one of the tweet that you sent, or it was one of the content pieces that you read. So all these things should be monitored using different metrics. So you have to have the right kind of dashboard in front of you as a brand manager to identify and then invest your money. So if you feel that, okay, 20% of your customers in the last 6 months have come through Twitter, so you will invest a lot on Twitter. Okay, and then you will also come to know that why your other channels are not working. What's the issue? Maybe the brand or the value proposition that you have works only for Twitter in a succinct manner, and then you do not need to invest in blogs and a lot of videos. Okay, so that's very important for me. I think this multi-channel closed loop analytics with in-depth reports is very important to give you the full view of what efforts are supporting your brand initiatives, and most importantly, that your branding initiatives are driving real business results. So it's no longer being a brand manager is no longer I would say an investment. Okay, it's an investment. It's no longer a spend, I would say. It's an investment in an organization, and hence the role of branding and the role of brand manager has become more lucrative if you adopt all these tactics and aspects within your role. Okay, that was from the measurement point of view. Last, I want to talk to you about how COVID has changed the entire scenario, and I'm sure. So this is an unprecedented crisis that have hit us all. Okay, especially from the marketing branding perspective, we marketer or a brand manager has kind of transformed a lot of things that they put into place. Okay, be it their narrative, be it their value proposition, be it their execution, be it the channels. Okay, a lot of things have been changed. And why I wanted to pick that example is not only because of COVID but because of one of the aspects that I feel very important is very important for a brand manager is to be flexible and versatile. That's what I talked about right in the first part, that these are the important aspects that a brand manager or skills that a brand manager should possess. Okay, and the chart that I included, I picked up from a very good, I would say, a brand marketer. She works in HCL. She often writes a lot of blogs, and this was the chart that I think she created as to how the different phases have changed in the COVID. If you see, there are three phases listed. First is the education phase, the solidarity phase, and the new normal phase. And marketers and brand managers have kind of embraced these three phases and have tried to modify their branding strategies or marketing tactics in these three phases. Okay, and it's very important to understand this because I'm sure COVID will go off after 6 months. But you have to be on your toes. You have to understand the market and change your tactics accordingly. So I will spend just 2 minutes on it. Okay. First is the education phase. There's a lot of brands that have that are giving information about the hygiene, okay, or what exactly can help you to evade coronavirus. Amul is one brand that had come across to me very nicely here. Okay, he talks about in its ads that how it came from China, like Wuhan se yahan le aaye. And then it also talked about better saaf than sorry. So the wordplay that they have really kicks in my mind, and I'm sure in plenty of other minds as well. So just by simple content, they are creating a lot of awareness about how to be safe from COVID. Okay. Then there are brands like McDonald's. If you see the typical McDonald's brand, the intersection of M in the middle is something the brand is known for. Now they have separated. So now you will see two inverse U alphabet as the brand for the COVID safe. So that's such a great example to showcase the social distancing part. So that something came to my mind. Even Volkswagen has done that. So they have separated the V and W in their logo. Okay, and the tagline is that thanks for keeping your social distance. Okay, so that stuck my mind. So they are on their toes, changing their tactics and their brand messaging. Okay, then there are brands. They have talked about totally about hailing the heroes. Okay, they talk about the warriors here, which are the doctors and the nurses and the healthcare professionals. A lot of brands have talked about praising them. Ray-Ban is something that comes to mind. If you see their ads, you will see how positively they have put forward the importance of these healthcare workers in our daily life. Okay, I guess these were the few aspects that I wanted to dwell upon in my 20-25 minutes. Of course, there are a lot more things I could have talked about or listened to you as well. But I think if you can focus on these areas and learn during your job, I think brand management is something that should excite you. It excites me as well. Okay, though I'm not totally into brand management now, but I work closely with my corporate brand managers, and the minds that they have is totally commendable. They think on such small aspects, even the font size, okay, while in a content or in a white paper that I develop is something that I like about brand managers. So I learn a lot from them as well. So yeah, Kritika, I think.
Great. Thank you so much, Sumeet. This was extremely valuable. We are also live on Facebook, so we're also getting engagement there. So thankful to you for all these insights. Now, let's try and take the questions from the audience. So you spoke about COVID, and people are really interested to understand how the job market or the demand for brand managers is going to be affected by the crisis, and what are the must-have skills for an aspirant right now that he should really work on in order to get a top job.
Sure. Two parts. First, I don't feel that the current crisis has kind of catapulted down or downgraded the role of a brand manager. I think
Hmm.
it has made the role of a brand manager even more important now. Okay,
Right.
it's very important now to have the right kind of mindsets and workforce and talent into an organization that can help you differentiate from your competition. Okay, I don't see their role getting diminished. I think if you possess the right skill and attitude, there are companies that would be very happy to hire you and take you into their workforce and system to help them differentiate from their competitors and put across their brand value and value proposition in front of clients or customers.
Great.
Yeah.
So in terms of, the must-have skills, because it's going to get a little more difficult to get hired.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
what must an aspirant really do? What are the skills he must double up on?
Sure. I feel that now the digital component would be of integral should be an integral skill set that every
Right.
brand manager should possess. You need to
Right.
equip yourself with what's happening digitally, what you can do digitally. Of course, every brand does something or other on digital aspect, but what you can bring to the table on digital aspect is something that should work well. I personally feel that if you work on the right content, okay, that should work in your favor.
Right, right. Because, we have an attendee called Suvadeep. So he pointed out that, because of COVID, the scenario has changed. So, the
Hmm.
face-to-face interaction with the customers is no
True.
longer, sort of as much as it was earlier. So, like you rightly mentioned, everything is now going to be predominantly digital. So, what is the way in which the strategy of a brand manager will have to change to adapt with the coming times?
True. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. There will be no, I think, in the coming times, the face-to-face interaction with the customers or with your partners or prospective clients will diminish. And
Right,
hence, which are the touch points that your customer will come in touch with you? It could be a web page. Okay.
right,
It could be a simple blog or even a PR material. So don't leave PR out of it. Public relations. So when you work with communication and external communication, what exactly you bring forward in terms of your brand value or proposition, that is
right.
something important to consider.
Great, 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 great. Also, two common questions that two different people asked were that, what are the kind of salary expectations for like a fresher in this career straight out of, say, an MBA?
Okay, now that's a tough question. Okay, I'm certainly not equipped to answer that because different organizations have different, criteria for a salary. Okay,
Right.
it also depends which organization you are joining, from where you are joining, and all those aspects. Okay, so I really cannot give you any number, but it could range. If you're totally a fresher, it could range from 6 till 12 or 14, depending on which organization you join and from
Right.
where you're coming.
Yeah. So I think basically, the audience wanted to get a sense of, how truly lucrative a career in this particular domain can be.
Definitely. Why I'm saying that, because if you talk about the growth, so let's assume you join an organization being a brand manager or a brand intern, okay,
Right.
you can
Right.
switch into different departments within marketing. It's just
Okay.
not branding, okay. There's a lot of things that goes into a marketing department within an organization, and
Right.
based on the area of interest, how much you are, you give or you invest in this particular function, you can move into different directions and grow. So that's very important to understand.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, in this regard, so what really lies at the top of the ladder, when it comes to this career trajectory?
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
What lies at the top of the ladder when we talk about, the
Okay.
brand management career trajectory?
Okay, so nowadays, there are titles by the name of chief branding officer. Okay,
Right, right,
or of course you can be a chief marketing officer as well. Okay,
right.
I have seen titles such as chief digital officer. Okay,
Okay,
so those are the people who are responsible for managing entirely and everything that a company does online. Okay,
right,
or on the digital side. So
right.
yes, down the line, after 10 to 15 years of experience, you can definitely be in that domain.
Okay, great, great. Thanks. So now Akshit Anand has a question and
Sure.
I'll just read it out to you. He wants to ask, can you give an example of creating an individual brand? Because, you already spoke about this in the beginning of the segment.
Mhm.
Because example, in this era of YouTubers and TikTok videos, how can an individual really use such platforms also for self-branding in a more sophisticated way?
Sure. One example that comes to my mind is our honorable parliamentarian Shashi Tharoor. I personally admire the way he has built his brand. Okay,
Absolutely, right.
he uses different forums and he has evolved himself. Okay, I understand his the hold on his vocabulary, that's separate, but he has only specific topics that he talks about. Okay, he doesn't thrashes the opposition. Okay, he talks what can be constructive for our country. He uses different platforms like Twitter and stages for speeches effectively. Okay,
Right.
so you have to pick what you're going to talk about. You cannot talk about each and everything. Okay, so that's very important to understand, and then you pick up the right kind of platform. And recently he also participated in a stand-up show. He did some stand-up comedy for 20 minutes or so. So that helped him to connect with his audience a lot. Okay, so it's important for you to understand what you wanted to talk about, what you should be known for. Okay, and it could be a lot related to your career. So for example, when I try to build my brand, okay, I try to build around my domain. I try to build it around healthcare, health technology, artificial intelligence, and cognitive and cloud computing. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about in my blogs, which I write for different forums. I write for Economic Times and Indian Express as well. So I talk about these stuff. Okay.
Great.
Why I say, because then it will help you to be a niche, create a niche around yourself and separate it from the other.
Right.
Okay. So when you try to jump, jobs down the line after 2 or 3 years, if everybody will say that I was a brand manager in so and so company, I was doing this, then it's very difficult for an individual to pick you. So you have to create a niche. Maybe you can pick up an industry that you can say that I was a brand manager focusing on automobiles. Okay, and what you did for that. Hence, you create a brand for yourself.
Great. So what are, some of the, say, key things that, you did at the start of your career that, the aspirants hearing today can also sort of think about doing in order to get to where you are?
Sure, absolutely. I think first of all, you should be open to collect information and learn. Okay, read a lot of stuff, talk to a lot of people. I would also suggest to have 1 or 2 mentors in different fields. I also had 2 mentors who helped me to guide, and those are people who are kind of very senior professionals in different domains in the market. They can help you to connect with the right person. Okay,
Right.
so collect information and then try to understand what you need to be know about. Okay, I understand your aspirations or your career goals might change, but still at the core, what you want to be known about. Okay, so when I talk to my clients, I do not try to sell myself purely as a marketer or purely as a brand manager. I also try to bring some industry expertise in it. Okay, so I do not learn only about the new marketing techniques or what's happening in the digital world. I also try to learn what's happening in the industry that I cater to, which is the healthcare. So you have to understand that aspect for sure to excel.
Great. Makes sense. I hope all of the aspirants have taken note of this. Right. So another question is, which mode of branding would be suitable for startups which, have the cost constraints, say a bootstrap startup?
Okay, I think for this, it depends in which domain or which industry you are. Okay, I personally, I feel most of the startups are going digital way. That's how it's going to happen.
Right.
They create a digital persona or a digital profile about themselves, what they are talking about, in which industry they are. Okay, they talk to a lot of KOLs, which are the key opinion leaders within their industry. If it's a consumer-faced industry, then the KOLs do not matter much. But if it's a B2B kind of a organization, then KOLs or experts matter a lot. So I think digital is definitely the way to move forward. You have to identify which channels. I say two important channels would be, I would say definitely you need to have the right kind of a web page or a microsite for yourself. Okay, you will get a lot of leads around it. Second is definitely you should focus on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for that. Right. So now Imran has this question. This reads, how to launch a new brand in the market and what factors are affecting it? So this is sort of related to what you already touched upon earlier and what you just mentioned also.
Yes, absolutely. So what factors should you keep in mind is definitely first, the kind of industry you are in, okay, and
Right.
who's your target segment. You have to understand the buyer persona, who's your target customers. You can categorize into different ways, socioeconomic status, earning capabilities, region, male, female, gender wise, okay, and all those things. So having the right kind of target segment in mind is very important. You cannot be universal. Okay,
Right.
you cannot sell each and everything to everyone. So you start with
Absolutely.
target segment and then see how it progresses further. So I
Makes
think
sense.
these factors should be kept in mind.
Perfect. Makes sense. Makes sense. And now to cater to these set of questions that some aspirants are facing. I mean, are raising. Sorry.
Mhm.
So basically, they want to understand that considering some of them are like who do not have a marketing background from the outset. What can somebody who's actually in a different career domain do in order to switch to a brand management career?
Sure. So if you talk about myself, as I said, I was a medical professional. I am a medical professional, but I wanted to change my direction. So I started with the right education first, which I'm sure you all are getting. Okay, that's
Right.
good. So I dwelled into getting an MBA. I did my MBA from SPJN, and post that, I started with consulting. I didn't start with marketing. Okay.
Okay.
So I started with consulting after my MBA, but over the line when I was talking to my clients and my partners, and I thought I have a knack of moving to the marketing function as well, and
Mhm.
hence I identified the right people, okay, and I talked to them, okay,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
said that this is something that I aspire to do. What do you think should the steps that I should take moving forward? First, this
Right.
told me that. Start targeting the organization that you want to be part of.
Okay.
Okay,
That's a good
and
insight. Okay.
since I was part of a B2B kind of a setup, I started talking to people in B2B organizations like Microsoft, IBM, and so on and so forth. Okay, if someone is interested in FMCG kind of a marketing, then that's a totally different ball game. You have to be more focused on above the line activities or ATL or BTL activities a lot, because that's a
Right.
B2C kind of a segment. Okay,
Right.
so you have to talk to the right people, get in touch with it. Don't be hesitant to reach out to people. I'm telling you, if you do that, you will be successful. If you just be reluctant, I don't think so that will take you much far. You need to be open up, talk to the people, and present that this is something that you aspire to do, and
Okay.
doors will open up.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks. We have a very interesting question.
Sure.
It's touching upon the issue that everyone's talking about when it comes to boycotting China and their branding strategy, etc. So the
Mhm.
question really is that nowadays most of the brands in India are suffering because of the Chinese strategies. So how to stay alive in the same branding business with China, because they have a very strong branding sense and also a very price sensitive.
Sure. See, I personally feel that Indian organizations are not suffering because of strong branding uh, from Chinese companies. I
Hmm.
feel their value proposition or the value they bring to customers
Hmm.
is something that is hitting us. It could be the
True.
pricing point. It could be the way they modify their products to suit
Right.
our
Right. Right.
needs. That is where our system is
Right.
lagging.
It's
Okay,
difficult to compete with their prices also.
absolutely. I don't think so. Branding is playing a role here.
Right.
Now
Right.
there's brands like Vivo or Xiaomi,
Right.
or now they are into the car segments as well.
Hmm.
So I think if you develop the right kind of value that brings to the customer upfront, then
Hmm.
your brand will automatically come on top of mind. So
Right.
focus on the value proposition.
Okay. Instead of just the brand strategy, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Perfect. Okay. Another question is that there is an attendee who says she's from the content writing industry
Good.
and wants to know how she can because you've already just spoken about creating a personal brand. In terms of her career trajectory, how can she sort of move ahead and really create a personal brand for herself, given that she has just started out her career as a fresher in the content writing industry?
Sure. So let me tell you that content leads or content marketers or content writers, they are in the hotspot. They are
Okay.
very well recognized in organizations, including mine. Okay, there are organizations who look forward to working with the right content leads or content writers. Okay, so if you have started out your career in the content field, I think that's an excellent way to climb the ladder. Okay,
Great.
Now, in terms of how to develop your own brand from content marketing is to start writing outside your organizations. Publish your content whichever you can
Right.
on different platforms. I will give you my example. When I started writing for Economic
Yeah.
Times, no one
That was
approached me.
great.
No one approached me. I just went out. I
Okay.
connected with one of the editorial team members in Economic Times. Okay.
Okay.
In fact, in Times of India, and just said that, I work in this healthcare field. I have so and so experience. I want to write for you. He said, okay, why not? And I submitted my content.
Oh,
I think
okay.
they reviewed it and they published it. So as I said, reach out to people. If you're a good writer, you can talk about different things. Focus on few areas. Don't talk about everything. I do not personally say that you talk about X, Y, and Z or
Right.
entire universe. Focus on few things.
Right.
If you want to talk about only the marketing perspective, or you can talk about content marketing strategies, you can read stuff and write about it, and you can publish it in different platforms. So that's one way to get attract eyeballs.
Awesome. Great. I think she has her answer. We have another question from Pragyanshu Tripathi.
Mhm.
So he happens to be a mechanical engineer working in the construction industry.
Okay.
And he's actually very much interested in brand management, and he would really, really want to switch careers.
Mhm.
So what is it that, he can really work on in order to get hired by a company like yours?
So the first and foremost thing that comes to my mind, that if he's shifting from
Right.
a totally different domain into branding or marketing, maybe he should try to get a marketing or a branding role within his organization first.
Makes
Okay.
sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
If that's the first and foremost step that he should do. If that's not going to happen, let's assume that they are not accepting it or there are no marketing rules.
Right.
Okay, then he should move to the next step and reach out to the individual people, especially in the construction organization. Okay,
Okay.
where he has some domain experience. Okay,
Right. Right.
and then talk to the people saying that, I have worked in this domain in the construction area. Okay, and now I'm interested in the marketing per se. I understand how what kind of business is done, because it's very important to understand the business nuances or the business aspects. If you do
Exactly.
not understand the product that you are selling or marketing or branding, I don't think so that will take you far. So you need to understand the product portfolio, and if he has a domain expertise, so he should reach out to different construction organizations and talk about how he can bring marketing and branding into foray.
Right, because we have similar questions from people with other background also. Suddenly, I have a question from somebody from the BPO industry, and there are
Mhm.
other different backgrounds also. So I think everybody wants to understand that if they do not happen to be originally from the marketing industry, but they really really are interested, so how do they make the transition? So you gave a very nice example of how this can be done. Now, when we talk about the kind of skill set that they really really must work on, so what is it that somebody like Pragyanshu can start doing right away while he's still a mechanical engineer at a construction company?
Sure. I think first and foremost, to move into branding and marketing, you need to develop few skill set. First and foremost, in today's time, is having a knack of how to use digital and social media. Both are different. Okay, so you need to understand the nuances of both digital and social media.
Right.
Okay, you need to learn on that. Okay, second, I feel content is very important. That's why the lady who's doing the content marketing role or content writing role comes into the foray a lot. You need to understand what kind of content works with different people, different target
Right.
segments. So if you learn, see, you cannot learn all these things before entering into a job. Okay, some aspects you can learn, but you also learn a lot while you are into the job. So if you are totally moving into a new domain, totally moving into first time moving into marketing or branding, if you have a little bit of digital knowledge, there are companies that will take you. Okay, and they will increase your skill set. You will learn on the job, and then you will excel. So don't feel that since you are a mechanical engineer, you have never done marketing, you cannot enter marketing. No, it's not going to happen.
Very important insight. Thanks for that. Great, great, great. Uh, Great. So now, let's move towards closing this. And we would love to just get some, closing lines, some closing comments from you for all
Sure,
the
sure.
aspirants.
Sure, thank you. I feel that one of the most important aspects that you have to keep in your mind is that you have to have the right kind of mindset for moving into marketing and branding. Okay, If you can identify your skill set, there are a lot of things that a marketer or a brand person does, but try to identify 1 or 2 skill sets that you are interested in. Okay, create a niche around it and differentiate yourself from others. That's one thing that I would like to tell you. Second, do not feel that some of the questions that I got a feeling that you are from
Right.
different backgrounds and you are hesitant to whether some organizations will take you into marketing or branding or
Right.
not. I think do not feel that at all. Prime example is me. Okay, I moved from a totally different industry into a different domain and then into marketing and branding. Okay, so that's second. Be positive and reach out to people, talk to people, create your brand. In terms of writing stuff online for your niche stuff. Okay, so that's very important. So yeah, these 2 areas is something that you should definitely work upon.
Thank you so much, Sumeet. That was absolutely wonderful. The insights that you shared were very, very valuable. I'm sure everybody who attended this will agree. What I'm going to do for all the panelists, for all the attendees is that I'm going to send in Dr. Sumeet's LinkedIn profile. If any of you want to, look at his profile or connect to him over LinkedIn, have any questions for him further, you can reach out to him. Dr. Sumeet, would you be comfortable with that?
Absolutely. I'm happy to connect with you for sure. Because when I did my MBA, I also had similar kind of predicaments in my mind. Happy to connect with you. You can reach out to me by Twitter, LinkedIn, email, anything. You can just type my name. My surname gives me a search engine optimization edge. So you can easily find me online.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Sumeet. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
We hope
Thank
to
you.
have you soon again. Thanks.
Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.